Hi, I am Paige Kennedy, and this is my tutoring portfolio review. My reading buddy's name was Amanda, and she is in first grade. Amanda is a spunky little first grader who I had the pleasure of getting to know. I'm first going to go over Amanda's reading profile from the literacy assessment that we did at the beginning of the semester. Her language sample results, overall mean complexity index was a 3.42, and 7 out of 12 of her sentences were simple. Her spelling inventory, she did struggle with this. She had about 5 out of 26 words correct, scoring her a 19% on the test. Her qualitative reading inventory, she read 100% of the words correct on the pre-primer word list and scored 55% on the pre-primer 2 out of 3 list. She was then asked some questions, comprehension questions, in which she answered 1 out of 3 correctly. She read the passage just like Mom at 31 words read correctly per minute and scored a 35% on her retelling test. She was able to come up with 6 explicit answers and 0 implicit answers. Continuing on with that, her writing samples, she struggled with this as well. Amanda was given 10 minutes to write about something she knows a lot about, and she was only able to come up with 5 to 6 simple sentences within 10 minutes. I took the writing sample twice, and both times she was really only able to come up with a few sentences. Results of her motivation survey. Amanda scored 50 points on the motivation survey, placing her at the midway scale, right between slightly happy and slightly upset, meaning that she's pretty indifferent about her attitude towards reading. For my most fabulous lesson, I couldn't really pick one session specifically, but I did include my most fabulous reading activity, which my reading buddy did love. I often had to get my buddy excited about reading by including her interests. In this case, she loves Amelia Bedelia, or any writing activity where she can use markers or colored pens. This particular activity was an Amelia Bedelia story map, where she had to list the title of the book, the setting, list characters, and brainstorm about problems and solutions in the story. Moving on to reading comprehension. During my first couple of sessions, I would integrate reading comprehension into my lessons by just asking Amanda a few questions about the story we read that day. I would ask her questions about the main character or the plot of the story. And when I did this, I could tell she was pretty bored and not very amused about telling me about what happened in the story. I then saw one of our classmates actually playing this roll and chat dice game with her buddies and thought the next week I would maybe try it out with my buddy to see if playing a comprehension game would be more of a hit, and it definitely was. Playing this fun dice game got my buddy more excited about reading and the activities that we did together during our sessions. And how you play the roll and chat game is you complete a task depending on which number you roll. So for example, if you roll a 4, you have to tell about the setting of the book, or if you roll a 5, you have to tell about what happened at the end of the story. Fluency. Another concept I knew I really wanted to integrate into my tutoring sessions was fluency practice. After looking at the results of Amanda's literacy assessment, I discovered she was more of a struggling reader. She would often mumble through or skip words that she didn't know. And at times like this, I would often encourage her to stop and take time to sound out the words that she didn't know. To practice this over the course of the semester, I would read a book at my buddy's reading level, and I would have her read with me out loud. I tried this for a few sessions, and with this activity, Amanda seemed more comfortable reading books that she hadn't read before. Continuing on fluency, during our next session, I decided to try something a little bit different and do a decoding activity where she got to practice with some short phrases. I found these short phrase sentence strips where I cut them out and I would set them on the desk, and she would do her best to try and decode them. This was successful, but she did struggle a little bit with some of the harder sentences. Orthography and spelling. After seeing Amanda's spelling inventory, I knew that she did struggle with writing and spelling. When I gave Amanda the spelling test, I insisted that she try to spell every word to her best ability, but she was still only able to spell a few words correctly. So I knew, obviously, writing and spelling was something I wanted to work on with her every week, or at least try to. I knew there would be hundreds and hundreds of resources on Google for spelling practice for first graders. So I found this series of worksheets where she could practice circling the correct spelling of a word and also filling in missing letters from a word. These activities were somewhat helpful, but obviously she would have to continue to practice things like this in order to see any improvement there. Progress. I definitely felt like there was some progress with Amanda over the course of the semester. With our short time together, I knew it would be hard to make huge improvements with Amanda's literacy skills, but one of my main goals was to try and get her more excited about reading. After Amanda expressed to me that she doesn't really enjoy reading books, it definitely made me sad. So from then on, I tried integrating more fun activities by including some of her favorite things like horses and Amelia Bedelia. In conclusion, this semester was such a great learning experience for me. Getting to test a first grader's literacy abilities opened my eyes more about what a speech language pathologist actually does during a process of testing a young client. I loved getting to work hands-on with a kid. That's always super fun. And also getting to know her more and more every week was very exciting. Some things I struggled with over the course of the semester was often stressing about what I wanted to work on specifically with my reading buddy that week. And also something else that I struggled with was getting her to be excited about the activities that we would be doing that day. Sometimes Amanda would really not be in the mood to read, or she would be really unmotivated that day, and that was often a setback. But I wouldn't really change anything about the experience. I just wish I got more time to maybe work more intensively on certain things with her. But overall, I really enjoyed the Reading Buddy experience, and I'm glad this is the direction I decided to go with for my semester project. And that about wraps it up, and thank you for listening.